This week's projects are all about rockets, and we're going to make two different types of rockets. The first one we're going to make out of straws, and that's going to be sort of a mini personal size rocket. And then we're going to make a slightly larger version out of paper, and we'll show that in another video. But to start out, we're going to be making this, and you can see we're using this biodegradable paper straw. We've made some fins out of tape, and we've also sealed it up. Now, I just have a flat blunt nose here. You can use tape or something else to make a more pointy nose cone, but since these are a little bit more indoor rockets, I'm going to refrain from making them too pointy, or if you're launching, you want to make sure that you're not launching towards another person. We also have one of these bendy straws, and that's what we're going to do to actually launch the rocket. So the rocket will go onto the bendy straw, and then you will get to blow into that part, and your rocket will be launched using the power of air pressure. So here's how we make this thing. First, this is going to be our rocket, and something that you can do, you'll notice that the length of the rocket is significantly longer than the bendy straw, and that's going to add more weight. So that may or may not be a good thing for your rocket, depending on how you want it to perform. And so if you wanted to reduce the weight of the rocket to make it fly a little bit further, a little easier to launch, you can get some scissors and just cut the rocket so that it fits the bendy straw a little bit better, like that. Now, what we need is to make sure that we can build up air pressure inside of the rocket. So if I put my rocket on there like that right now and were to blow in that, this is going to go nowhere because air can just escape right out the top. So the first thing that I need to do is seal the top of my rocket, and I'm going to use some masking tape for that. And this is a pretty easy process. I'm just going to put the tape over the top. I'm going to fold it down over, get it as flat as I can. Doesn't have to be perfect for this rocket, certainly. And there's lots of these straws, so you can make different versions and see which ones perform better. Then I'm going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to sort of roll it around that, and that's going to help hold that piece of tape in place, as well as make sure there's a nice tight seal at the end so that the air gets stuck in the rocket and forces the rocket up rather than just air escaping through gaps. Now I can use this rocket just like this. This will certainly launch, and I'm going to show that here in a little bit. But what you will find is that your rocket will have a much nicer arc and path if it has something on the back, some fins, to help the air flow smoothly across it. Otherwise it might flip around and just sort of act like a falling stick, which is not quite what we want our rocket to do. So for these paper rockets, the easiest way to make a fin is to just use tape. So I'm going to take a piece of tape, and you can decide how long you want your fins to be. These are pretty long fins on this rocket, but I could make shorter fins. We'll try that here. I'm going to make these ones a little bit shorter. So I'm just going to take this piece of tape. I'm going to line it up, make sure it's nice and straight along the rocket on one edge there. And then I'm going to just fold it over and stick the other edge down, and then just squeeze the tape to stick it to itself. I can take my scissors. I could probably just leave my fin like that, but I'm just going to take my scissors and kind of angle the leading edge of the fin there. So I'm just going to do that a few more times here to try and get 4 fairly equal length fins on this rocket. Now, just in case this method of making the fin is a little bit difficult for you, there's lots of ways that you could figure out how to do this. You could even make these fins with some cut paper or some thin cardboard. It doesn't have to be tape. You just use the tape to tape it on there. But another option is, again, to use the tape. And before we stick it on there, I'll go ahead and fold the tape and leave a little bit of it not stuck together. which is a little tricky, but then I can stick it on to my rocket like this. And there are my 4 fins. Now these are not perfect, and again, you've got lots of straws, so you can try making different ones. You can rip these fins off and make better versions until you get ones that you really like. My fins are maybe a little bit wobbly, but we're going to find out how this thing launches. You would just blow into the end of this tube. I'm going to hook this up to a little bellows and just launch it here, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so here's my rocket. I can play with the angle. I can launch it straight up. I can give it a little bit of an angle like that. That's going to change its trajectory and how it flies. But let's give it a go and see if it launches. There you have it.